I'm very happy to welcome you all for these sessions. All these 20 days we have learned from basic CRM to LWC. So this is a session about Aura component. So today our agenda is to have Aura component, and 11:15 we'll be having a break. After continue with the Aura component, and finally we will have a Q&A session where you can clarify your doubts. Today's speaker is Samia Tiwari from 360 Degree Technologies Private Limited, and days of experience, and currently he was working in 360 Degree Cloud. So he will be taking our complete Aura session today, and next week also. Next week Saturday and Sunday also he will be taking the session. So kindly be there at time and learn about Aura component as well.
Hi everyone, good morning. So today I will be talking about Aura components. Like we will be having a brief discussion, like how it all started, and later on, like in today's agenda, we will also be like creating a few Aura components, talking about the basic things, and later on in the further sessions, like of next Saturday and Sunday, we will be talking in detail, like we will be digging in detail, like how to use different things like helpers, like many things. Like that is something that I will be telling you today, like what all things we will be doing on the next Saturday, Sunday, and what all things are covered today. So let's start. So first, going ahead with the like what is 360-degree cloud. So I hope everyone is able to see my screen.
Yes.
Yes, sure. So like first talking about what exactly is 360-degree cloud. So we at 360-degree cloud are having 600 plus developers, architects, and trailblazers. Sorry, and trailblazers. There are more than 400 plus certifications with all these developers, specialists, and architects. We have 6 different offices. One is in USA, and the rest of the 5 are in India, which are in Noida, Faridabad, Pune, Jaipur, and Kolkata. Then we have implemented more than 3,000 plus projects, and we have served more than 30 industries. We are having 5 different flagship products on App Exchange, and we have cleared more than 20 App Exchange security reviews. Currently, we are having 40 plus partners. We are Demo Gem winner, Summit Platinum partner, and we are a proud member of Pledge 1% or and we are also ISO certified company, and uh, rated as top Salesforce consultants from 4 stocks. So talking about myself, I'm a senior Salesforce developer at 360 Degree Cloud. I'm having 3+ years of experience. I have started my journey of Salesforce in 2019, and since then it's all uh, like a very well uh, growth that I have got in the last 3 years. It's all about learning that goes behind it. I have 4 different certifications as of now, which are admin, PD1, JavaScript developer 1, and app builder. Next in my track is the data and sharing visibility architect. Just to like give you kind of a roadmap that I'm following right now. So I'm on the roadmap of an architect. Okay, moving forward to the next slide, we have like today's agenda, which is so looking forward to it. Like it's a very vast topics. There are many more small topics covered. So today we will mostly be covering the introduction part. Then we will be having like the creating Aura components. Like we will see how we will be creating the Aura components. So just for your sake, like I haven't prepared anything on the Aura components. Like most of the part, like whatever I will be coding, I will be coding from scratch just for you guys, so that you guys can also learn from mistakes. So nobody is perfect over here, and even when you will start coding, you will be making mistakes. So how to debug those mistakes? Even like I hope that I make some mistakes so that I can help you show how I debug any mistake, any small mistake that we can create syntactically or anything like that. Okay, so first we will be starting ahead with the introduction to Aura. Then we will be creating some of the Aura components like parent-child relationships and many other things that we will be talking about in the coming slides. Then I will also be showing you like getting data from from Apex or Lightning Data Services. So Lightning Data Services is something that Salesforce promotes a lot so that you don't have to use Apex, but still Apex is something that we cannot move away with. We have flows, we have process builders since a long time, but Apex is something that is still there and will be there because custom, if you are going for a custom thing, then Apex is something you might need here or there. So we will be talking about both. Although Salesforce prefers Lightning Data Services, but we will first start with showing you with Apex. The rest of the topics, which are like working with JavaScript, types of events, Lightning message services, Lightning locker services, and reusing Aura components, like how to create Aura components which are reusable. These are the topics that I have saved for the future sessions, like which are coming in the next Saturday and Sunday. So this is the agenda for today. So moving forward, let's talk about Aura component. Like what is Aura? An introduction to Aura component basically. So Lightning component framework was introduced back in 2019. The Salesforce, it was all VF pages back then. If you want to create a like one page application was not a thing in 2014, I guess. It started evaluating with Angular and all, but still like in Salesforce we don't had like a VF page, a one page application. We used to like redirect other VF pages in case it is a big application. So it was and developing a VF page was kind of a task because you have to code everything over there. Like HTML is there, then VF page is there, and each and everything, like whatever script, whatever CSS you have to put over there, or you have to create a script and then import it later on. So it's like that. But with the help of Aura components, we are having like I guess we move. Yeah, sorry. So with the help of Aura components, we are Salesforce introduced a self-contained and reusable units of an app. So what does this mean? Like Aura, it's a bundle. Like Aura is not a single page; it's a bundle. So we will be talking about that bundle in future. But still, like it's a bundle, and we can have multiple areas in that, and we can use it, right? So we can reuse them easily. Aura component also made it easy for us to create applications for mobile phones and desktop devices both. So Salesforce also introduced or like Salesforce One and uh, Salesforce mobile app, basically Salesforce One, and their Aura was better used like instead of VF page, because at times VF page has many JavaScript components which might not be compatible with your phone, with your mobile phone. But Salesforce got it for us for Lightning component. They got it for us so that we can create single page applications easily without any issue. So it was released in spring 2015, and it was the like a big change for Salesforce when people started moving from VF to Lightning. I guess it's just a year that Salesforce also moved its all the documentations and everything to Aura. You might have noticed that there was a big change in the UI and all when everything was changed from VF to Aura. Like it is literally VF to Aura because even the loading times has increased a lot. So uh, the time Salesforce used to say that the loading on VF was slow and Aura is way faster. It is for such big applications. Like if you go to help docs, it's fully made up on Aura, and now you can see that the loading time has increased a lot. You can easily go and uh, browse without the delay. Like earlier, when it was the older version, there was a lot of delay. Like if it is a big page, it used to open slowly. So things were there. Aura is kind of easy to use. So if we remember, like if we try to relate, um, Aura component is more on the Angular front, and VF page we can say like we can relate to JS pages. But a normal Java developer was not so familiar and was not so good that they can easily start building up on the VF pages and just migrate to Salesforce. It was still an learning curve that they have to do. With this Aura component, which is more on the lines of Angular, it was quite easy for everyone to go ahead and start working and on Aura, and many Angular developers start migrating to like I don't say many, like but a few who wanted to um, get into Salesforce, like they can easily. It, the learning curve is less than VF pages, JSP pages, and etc. etc. With Aura components, like Aura components make it device aware. Uh, Salesforce has given us a lot of reusable components, that is already used in the Lightning framework, and they are increasing them day by day. Like not every day we are getting new components, but yeah, they are increasing. They are working in the backend to get more components which are there. So we are getting new components day by day, and then they are device aware. So if we are creating an Aura component with the help of those standard components provided by Salesforce, so it is easily a device aware component that we have created, and it is a cross browser compatibility. We don't have to worry about what type of JavaScript that we are using. It's easily compatible with each and every browser that are there. So talking about Lightning components, like although we are here for Aura, but many people get confused. So there are two types of components, which are Lightning Web Components and Aura Components. Lightning Web Components were introduced in 2019, and Aura Components is something that is there from 2015. So Aura Components was still maturing, and we got Lightning Web Components, which is something like why will Salesforce do it? And still we have Aura Component and Lightning Web Components both. The main reason for behind that is that Lightning Web Components are more uh, standardized. They are or more on the latest Node.js framework. They even we have the LWC OSS platform where we can create Lightning Web Components without the need of Salesforce and host it on Heroku or any local servers also. So we have things like that with the LWC. But Aura component, it was so. If I talk about learning curve with VF pages, it was a lot. Salesforce tried to reduce it with Aura components, and now it has reduced to the minimalist with help of Lightning Web Components. It is very less now. Like we can. So I guess we have how Aura is reusable unit of an app. Can explain examples, sir? Yes, sure. So I will like to bring my browser to show you. So as it says that it is a reusable unit. So sales. There are multiple things. So if you see, this is an Aura component assistant. Like these are the standard Aura components, but these are still Aura components. You can use them n number of times. So these are first of all reusable. Secondly, like currently I'm showing you a reusable component because this is a fresh org that I have created just to start coding in front of you guys. But in future, like we have that in agenda, like how to create a reusable unit of an app, like reusable Aura components. That is something that we are still preserving for the later part, but we can use the like there are parent-child relationships. We can use uh, Aura component inside Aura components, and that way we can reuse a single piece of code. Like a very easy thing is that Aura still doesn't have a custom lookup, and we can create a custom lookup component with the we have it available on over the web. Like there are many different iterations of it available. We can get it from Git also. There are many people who have uh, coded really cool examples of a uh, custom what we should say custom search options for the lookups. So that is there, and that single component we can use in n number of components. So it is reusable for sure. We have to look into it, how we create, how we manage things. So creating reusable units is very easy in Aura. That is something that I'm preserving for the later parts. So for sure, you will get to know in future. Let's move forward. So Aura components. In Aura components, uh, we don't follow the regular MVC architecture like model view controller. Here we have model controller view. So why we have two different controllers? So model is what we usually call as database, and in our case, database is Salesforce. So what basically I think of Salesforce is like, I know that Salesforce is a much powerful platform. Can you guys please mute?
పైన కూర్చుంటే కష్టం కదా.
Yeah, I have muted also. You can mute yourself, unmute yourself, Swami.
Yep, sure, no issues. So currently I've taken away the access for everyone to mute. Um, now you guys cannot unmute yourself, so please feel free to use the chat window to ask the questions. So what is model controller view? And what I think about Salesforce is Salesforce is a very fancy database, we can call it. Like we can easily create custom objects. There are standard objects, so we can call it a fancy database. Although there is much more behind the scenes, but still we can. So I call Salesforce as a database. Then we have controller. We have an Apex controller over here. So we have Apex controllers, but we do have JavaScript controllers. So when we are actually creating an Aura component, we will be creating an Apex is like the view, the Aura component view, which we always known as markup. Then we have a controller, which is a JavaScript controller. So it can be a controller, it can be the helper. You will get to know in detail in coming slides. Then we also have a controller at the Salesforce side, like Apex, which is the server, which can query the database. Got it? So uh, we have Apex, and wherever we are controlling, so suppose our markup is loaded, we have the view loaded, we will fire an event that like, okay, the view is initialized. Then there is a method on controller which gets fired on a net, and then it fires a method in controller which is Apex. Then it goes to the database, gets the data, and send, and the same scenario falls back. Like from database, the data is sent to the Apex controller. From Apex controller, it is sent back to the JavaScript controller, then to the view, right? So that that's what happened, and that's why we have it as a model controller view architecture. Then also we have Lightning Data Services. So in Lightning Data Services, LDS, Salesforce itself sends its data. So as you know that in case of VF pages also, we have standard controllers, right? For each and every object, we have standard controllers. Here, Salesforce has got Lightning Data Service, which is we can call it a standard controller. So in case if you need that, we don't want to call an Apex and get the data, you can easily call Lightning Data Service. You can use it there and simply get the data. So it's the same thing. Instead, you can use Apex or you can use LDS. So that's one and the same thing. Okay. Moving forward to the next slide. we have the life cycle, uh, from which like an usual Aura component goes through. So at first we have the we have an Aura component which is stored at the server. If you see, it is stored at the server. You have requested that Aura component to get called. That Aura component gets converted into the component definition. And here, these two things are some thing that you can relate to an LWC. When it is an LWC, it doesn't get converted to the component definition. So here, what is denoted as a component definition is actually the LWC substitute of an Aura component. Like what happens in the background when it is an Aura and LWC. So in the background, Aura is converted to an LWC and sent to the browser and loaded the same way. So that's a topic of any other session, but still, this is a bit of the background. So what happens is Aura is converted to the component definition. Let's call it that only right now. Then everything comes to the client side. So from the server, everything is sent to the client side. We have the whole component bundle. HTML starts rendering on the user interface, and then the JavaScript initiates and gets the data. So this is the basic, the first life cycle where like everything happens. Okay, and here JavaScript plays a very important role, a key role in generating the UI, because JavaScript handles a lot of attributes in the Aura component to like if it should be displayed or not, how it should be displayed, and how things should work at the backend. Okay, so moving forward to the next slide. So let's see how to create an Aura component. It's pretty easy. Like instead of this, I will like to bring ahead my browser and start showing it right away. So as you guys already know, like we can simply go to developer console from here. It's still that is something that I have to tell. So um, also in order to get the developer console option, you have to be an admin, right? Like if you are having a standard user or any other relatable user, you cannot go ahead with that. So when you're creating a Lightning component, you can simply go to File, New. Then in Lightning, you will get a lot of things like Lightning tokens, Lightning events, Lightning interface, Lightning component, Lightning application. So Lightning application is something where you can create a whole one-page application, and Lightning component is something that where you can create a small component which is a reusable part of the UI, and in an application you can create the whole UI. So currently we will be starting ahead with the Lightning components. So when you're creating a component, you first have to give it a name, right? So I will give it the name demo component underscore one. You can give it a description. So description is something which is really important at times. Like when you want to have a project which is well documented, you must give description to each and everything, so that any new developer who is coming to the project knows why this particular component is there, how it is used, where it is used, and description should always be well updated. Then at the bottom we have component configuration. In component configuration, you have Lightning tab, Lightning page, Lightning record page, experience builder site pages, and quick action. So these are some of the configurations which are there, and currently we will be selecting Lightning tab. Okay, we will be selecting Lightning tab. So I will submit it, and we have a whole component bundle ready with us. Why I'm calling it as a component bundle? Because if you see, we have these details: component, controller, helper, style, documentation, renderer, design, SVG. So what are all these about? So I will give you a brief, but I guess you might be uh, not able to see it. So I have zoomed in a bit for you guys. I hope you guys can comment if anybody is not able to see properly. Still, I will zoom in a bit more. I will wait for a minute for your guys for responses if anybody is having issue. Okay, so I see no comments in the chat. So I hope that everyone is able to see the screen properly. So we have the component, which is the markup. Okay, so here everything is a markup. Like if you see HTML is also a markup language, and same goes with here. It is a component and it's a markup where you define the HTML divisions, spans, paragraphs, and other standard components. Then we have the controller, and this controller is the JavaScript. It is where you write JavaScript code, and do have a specific it do have a specific way how you should be writing the code. That is something that we will be discussing in a minute. Then we have helper. As always, it's the developer console. So here is a helper. uh, Helper method. Here you can write reusable methods. Let's say a very basic method you need to write, like sum. You can write a method sum, and you can accept a few variables like a comma b comma c. Like you can accept three variables, and then you can also write a method subtract. So you guys might have guessed that here you get to write the reusable methods which you can easily reuse without any issue, right? And these methods you can not call from the markup directly. So markup, like over here from events, like on click, on hover, like all these events are supported, and from these events you can call the controller, and from the controller it's the helper that is called. Okay, then we have style. So styling is something that everyone needs, right? If you are working on a client side project, so client might need that it should resemble their own Salesforce or maybe like they are using a third party application and they want you to create an Aura component which is exposed to, let's say, a community, and it should resemble the uh, existing application. In that case, this is the place you will be writing all the CSS. Unlike the VF pages and a normal HTML page, you cannot write the styling part over here. We have a dedicated CSS file where you can write each and everything. This is quite good. Then you can document each and everything over here, like the description, each and everything can be documented over here easily. Like you can, even if there are multiple components in the same component, like you have the child component, that is something we will be talking about in the later part, but still, then you can simply use it to document each and everything. uh, One of the thing over here is renderer, and it is like rarely used. I will say like it is rarely used because renderer is something that uh, defines how you will render a method. Here you can override the default rendering methods, which actually calls the JavaScript. Like the on init method gets called every time the whole page is refreshed. So you can override those methods and just get a few details. Like you can either have a like just giving an example, you can have a controller method, like you can have a JavaScript method which reads the cache, and if there is the data in cache, it will get from there. Otherwise, it will get from it will still get from the still call your on init method and get from Apex or maybe LDS. So in that case, you can use a renderer method to override those default scenarios. We will get into it in detail in the future sessions. So if we talk about the design component, uh, I will give you a brief overview again. If you come over here, you can see the design. Like currently, there are two different components: demo component child, demo component parent. And if you see, like this isn't looks good. So like VF page, it has a certain design, like how it will function. So you can specify each and everything over there, like how things will function on it. Like if it is a report chart, how is the design that looks like, and if we have to create some custom components, then things will be there. Uh, So show refresh button. These things can be defined in the design part, right? Then we have SVG. So if you see on this page, there are SVGs, right? These are all SVG icons. In order to customize your component, and suppose you are creating a component for an app exchange product, then you can use this SVG component to have an icon for your component easily. I hope everything is clear, like you guys are getting everything. If you have any issues, you can let me know. Have you can use the chat box to uh, keep sending the yeah. So okay, Mahesh. So how we can know if it is a lightning component or aura component? It's a nice question, but so it's a standard component, and we cannot directly know with it, like if it's a lightning component and aura component. It's a standard component. Okay, so at the back end, what Salesforce has done, we cannot see it, obviously. Even these components we cannot see because these are the standard components. But when it comes to to the custom components that we are creating, it's a bit easy. You can go to setup, lightning components, and here you will have the type, if it's an aura or if it's an LWC. But if we talk about the standard components like this, these components you cannot say because these are standard, and like every standard thing, we don't have access to anything. So that is a bit of a restraint that we are having. But sure. So you guys can keep on using the chat panel in case if you are having any issues. I'm again saying so that I can keep on clearing all your confusions as we go, and you don't have a long pile of questions at the end of the sessions. I don't have any issue, but I will uh, I don't want to deliver you things in bits and pieces. If you're having any confusion right now, I will clear it. Um, so moreover, like first, I will like to show you something. So instead of here, So I guess the LWC session is already delivered to you, and I don't know if in that session these things were informed or not, like, but still I will deliver each and everything which are relatable. So there are two things which are known as the Lightning Design System and Component Library. These are really usable when you are creating an Aura component. My point of it is that when you are creating an Aura component, you have to get the base components. So this is something that we known as base components. These are located inside different namespaces. So we have Lightning namespace, Aura namespace, Force namespace, Force Chatter, Force Community. So there are many different namespaces in Aura, but in web components we just have two namespaces. Talking about in Aura, we if we go to Aura Lightning, we have accordion. So if you will, if you want, you can easily create this component also. Like it's not so difficult that you cannot create it. Like you can go over here, accordion. So in Lightning Design System, what it does, it gives you the design of each and every component, right? Although it's working over here, but if you will see the code, you don't have any JavaScript. You just have the CSS part from the SLDS library, SLDS CSS library to be more clear, and the markup, but you don't have the function, right? So here from the component library, you get things which are functioning, like which are functionable. You can simply copy this part and paste it, and it will start functioning like this, right? And you have documentations, specifications of things, but there are still many things which are not available on the component library. Like you have a host of different things which are not available. In that case, you have the Lightning Design System to your rescue. And over here, you can simply copy this code. Like suppose, like let's assume you don't have accordion over there. Like you don't have accordion in the component library, and your client needs that you need to create an accordion. So what you will do, you will get this code, right? You will get this code, and if you see over there here in this section, SLDS is open. This is a very simple, uh, what we can say, CSS class that you can use on any particular section. So if you see whatever section we want to have open, SLDS is open should be there. So you can have an on-click action on it, and once anyone click it, you can append SL, like you can just simply toggle this class, like SLDS is open. You can toggle it. I will show you that part also, like how you can toggle class and how things will work on it. I will show those things today itself so that you guys have a basic overview of how to create a component, how to work on it, and things like that. I will show all of those things today so that at least you guys in the next session get me a lot of questions on how if something is not working, how things should work, and like things on the similar line. And also like in the component in the design library, design system, you get each and everything, like even the nested part is which we can, I will show you how you can create using the component library also. You have styling hooks, like how you can use it. You can like override this particular class and then have, so many things are like this are there and which you can actually use. By the way, one more thing. I just told you about the documentation. Like over here, mhm, over here there is a documentation where or a doc, right? You can actually mention like if you are creating, if you are when you get on an architect level and you want to record each and every details, you can actually record which version of accordion you are using from here, so that in that case, whenever in future somebody comes back, they can actually see like, okay, these things are added later on. Because what happens when you actually code, um, there are many different things that you might implement as a custom, and then later on somebody else might come that this thing was already present. These things are recorded in the change log, and you can actually mention like which version of accordion you are using when you are developing. That is easy for you. Coming back to Lightning, like so yep, we coming to the next slide. So I have showed you how we can create an aura component. Then in the next slide, we are going to talk about like how we can store the data. I know that I haven't showed you a custom aura component running till yet, but still, let's talk about this first so that I can show these two things together. So what is an aura attribute? An aura attribute is like the place where you store any data that you might be getting from Apex, right? Or you might be getting from the force record data, like the basically it is the Lightning data services, or maybe you are storing some custom details, static or anything. So these things will be stored in the attribute. So in the aura attribute, you get to have a name, which will be the name of that attribute. Then you get to get the type, right? Whatever type it is. So string, it can be boolean, date, date time, decimal, object, double, integer, long, string, or list. So what are object and list? So you can store a JSON and object, a list of JSON and object, so that you can render a component pretty easily. So let's start creating a component so you guys can relate with better. So I don't need all of these right now. I will just close to have less clutter, and you guys can also relate which thing we are working on. So currently we are working on the component. Okay. So let's get a division real quick, and in a paragraph tag, let's write hello world. Okay. And by the way, I should be showing it these things to you. So let's create a custom tab. So you have Lightning component tabs over here. We have force app hostable implemented. So over here, you will get this component demo component underscore one, which is the component that we are working on and has having force app hostable. Okay. So like each and every component, we can give a style. So which style should we give? Let's give it a train. Again, description is there like each and every other Salesforce custom things. We should specify it, but it's just for the demo right now. So let's move ahead. Now we can search for demo component from over here. And in this tab, we can easily see hello world, but it's not on the same lines of like the same styling we are not having. So there are two options to get the styling. Let's search for a card over here, right? SLDS card. So what is a card? I will show you that. So if you see each and every component, there is a smooth, rounded background, white background, which is there. Like each and every one is having the same. Do you know what is it? It's a lightning card, and you can get how it is made from here. Like this, these are the CSS libraries which are there. So I will simply like these divisions doesn't work over here. Like although you can have a custom uh like let's control shift tab. Okay. So we cannot have SVG over here. Let's delete this. We don't need it. We don't need that either. Nope, we don't need the header. Okay. Then we have division. This is the bodies. We need this. Then we have the footer. We don't need it again. So it's a simple card. And now let's write hello world here. So if you see now, we have that smooth rounded edges of white card behind it with a few lines. But do you know, I have copied it from the design system. There is a much easier way. I just have to type card. It is inside the lightning namespace. So we call it lightning card, right? And we just copy paste it over here, right? And this all over it can go over here. We don't need this. We don't need footer. We don't need title, right? We will just change it from paragraph to division. And now again a refresh. Okay, let's have it over here also just for a comparison. So if you see, even the like, I don't think there is any change. Can you guys have any minute difference also visible, like if it is for you guys? So I don't think it's visible for anyone. So if you see, like instead of writing like let's say 7 minus 12, 5 lines, we can simply padding and margin. Okay. Okay. Textile. Do you, sorry guys, but I don't think there is any difference. Like I can see a bit of padding, but like other than that, I don't think there is any. I agree with padding, but I don't think textile is an issue. Okay, so you have to zoom in a lot to see such minute details. But the other issue with it is that we have a couple of other CSS libraries which we have, like currently we only have a padding of horizontally small. So things like that do differ. Uh, so we can simply write 4 lines instead of these 5 lines, although we can simply delete this line. That's not needed. And again, it makes it a 4 to 4 line. But when we have to give it a header, like let's say we have to give it uh, a header button, in that case we have to write a lot more lines instead of like having an actions directly. The title is over here, we have the footer over here, and even if we go to the specification, icon name also. So if you see over here, we have to specifically mention the icon name over here with the help of, like, if you want to go with this, you have to specifically mention like lightning icon and all. So it can directly be done over here. So which for me is way easier, because when you're creating multiple components, if you're creating multiple components, it's way faster. And that's why we have the component reference library. Okay, let's move ahead. I will delete one of them. So this one I will delete it. We have hello world. But we also talked about aura attribute. Instead of writing, instead of writing things statically, we can use attribute. And how we can use this is what we actually know, what is actually known as an expression. It is like this. So we have to write it like v dot greetings. So any attribute that you are mentioning is like which are actually on the view, it's v, like view dot greetings, it's like that. Okay, then if I refresh it again, so it's still same, but okay, let's make it a bit different. Let's create another attribute with the name of first name. So it will be hello. I will make it hello over here. And let's say in the first name, let's write my name Soumya and a comma. So we can have it like this. So if you see, right, so you can combine these expressions like these. Also, it will work. And what more you can do is, right, let's give it a bit of time to save. Okay, So we have a question why we use V. So like I said, V dot. Okay. So first thing, it's case sensitive. Second thing, V is for view. So as I said, like V, this is the view, this is the controller, and this is the helper, right? So whenever we are referring anything, like whatever is stored on the view, so whatever is stored in the attribute are actually stored on the view, right? So in that case, we have to refer it with the help of V, right? So it's on the view. So V dot first name, V dot greetings. And whenever we are, I will show you how we are going to call controller. So it will be like if we want to call a controller, we will use C dot then the method name, right? So again, space is not there. We can use BR tag. So it works like that. Like although when you will become pro in JavaScript, CSS, and all, it like you don't have to refresh it every time. But I have to show you like using different things. Okay, so you can use n number of possibilities. So I will like it like this. Also, like this is a single aura component, right? And this is the aura attributes that you have. I also said that you can have it as a type object or list and things like that. Let's have a demo for that also. I will have a type object in the and instead of greetings, let's say mobile phone list, right? So it's an object. We don't have anything in the default. We can give it a kind of an empty list, right? Inside the Aura namespace, we are having a lot of different, what we can say, like renderef, template, text, and things like that. So Aura iteration is one of the component, like another component where it will iterate itself. So what it can do is, let's delete this, and the item will be giving mobile phone list. So as you guys have learned LWC, you guys know that whenever we are actually writing anything in the expression, it should be without the double quotes. But in Salesforce, sorry, in Aura, it is inside the double quotes. So, by the way, like we edit technologies. Am I clear why we not use V, why we actually use V? So over here we have items. So whatever things we will be having in the mobile phone list, it is V dot mobile phone list, and then we have a variable which is item. So now here, whatever we want to print, it will be like this. Now we don't have to use V, by the way. So uh, we also have to get some data over here, right? So let's build a data quickly, real quick. I will pull in my notepad and build a JSON. So it will be like mobile phone, right? Name, again, name is, let's say, iPhone 12. Then we have company. Company is Apple. Then we have IMEI, random 16-digit words. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Right? Uh, I guess these things will suffice. Then let's have a few more. Let's have a device from Samsung also. Let's see if it's a valid JSON with the help of JSON formatter. Otherwise, yep. So it's a valid JSON. And now let's move ahead. Just a minute. Format JSON, copy, and we have to remove this white spaces now. Give me a minute, guys. Um, and instead of default, let's do it like this. Just a minute. You cannot have it in default. Let me real quick write a controller. So in that way, we will also be covering our next slide, which is like how to get data from Apex. I will explain this in that particular slide, like when we reach to that level. But currently, I'm quickly writing a piece of code. Yeah, sure. Anurag, I will be explaining the full JS part, the full Aura Apex part in just a minute. Like, let me first show you what I was actually showing, and then I will be uh, like explaining each and everything. Don't worry. Let's show them. We'll also have a button to load the data. So if you guys see now, like I clicked on load data and we are having object, 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 object. So I don't think this will actually relate. Like you guys can actually relate to this. So let's do one more thing real quick. Let's get a table, but I will not get it from the component library. Instead, I will like to get it from the Lightning design system. There is a reason for it. Like I have to show you how things work on the backend. So data tables, and don't worry, I will be explaining the JS part, the Apex part, each and everything. Give me a second, please. So everything in the backend, like seriously, everything in the backend is HTML. Like if I show you this data table, it's so easy. Like seriously, this easy. But in the backend, it's like this. So everything in the backend is what you know as HTML. So now we have, let's say, mobile name, right? Mo- Mobile name. Then we also have what was in the JSON? I don't have the JSON right now. Let's go to controller, name, company, and IMEI. Okay, company. Then we have IMEI, right? That's just title. I have to type it again over here. Company. Then we have mobile name, right? Let's delete each and everything that is there apart from what which is actually useful. So three we need, rest deleted, and we also need to delete this part and this part. There is a reason why we need to delete it. And over here, let's get this item, and over here, let's do it like item dot. Sorry guys, item dot name, then like this and like this. So we have name, we have company, and then IMEI. Okay, so here it's company and here it's IMEI. Also, I will keep this as it is right now. I will show you what this actually does, and I will reload it. Okay, so currently it's this, and then I will load the data. So if you see currently, you're getting three times this mobile name, mobile name, right? And there are three data, then object, object also. So first thing, object, object. This is the thing that we will remove. Then we will save it and see. You will get a better detail. Currently it's like this. I will load the data. It's like this now. Okay. Now we don't need the header to be repetitive. We'll just copy out all this and move it out of the or iteration, right? And just this table tag out of our iteration and shift tab. Everything is now arranged. Good. Now we have just a single mobile name, like just a single header. I will load the data and everything loads like this. So it's perfect for me right now. But if you see, if I hover onto this, it shows me company. But when I hover onto this, it shows me cloud up. It shows me a date. Why is this? This is due to the title. So what we will do real quick, just this. And our issue is solved now, right? So this is how aura iteration works. By the way, if I just remove this default, it takes a lot of time at times to save. Okay, it got saved. So now those two rows are also not coming, but when we load data, actually it came. It took some time, but it came. So, okay, now let's first move to the next slide. So this was all about the attributes like object, list, string. I showed you these three, but there are many others, and you can yourself like have an hands-on. And in the next session, we will be talking about it. Okay, so moving to the next slide, that we have parent-child relationship and Aura components. So parent and child relationships, what do we understand by that? Like when we started, like I told that we have reusable components, but let's keep that reusable component to a side and let's think why we can need child components and parent components. The main reason why we need these two is that child components are created so that you can have less bulkier code. You can divide your actual code between the parent and child, and you can even have multiple childs. Like let's say like if sorry, we move to the next page. But do you think Salesforce has written all these code inside a single component and showing it to you here? It's an absolutely no. The main reason we have components is that over here, this is another component, this is another, but this whole part is also a component, right? This whole part is also a component. And when you are actually going to work on it, you have to make sure that things are readable for you as a developer. When you are a developer, you are developing it, you can understand messy codes, but you might understand what you have code. Like things are relatable to you in that format. Like for me, like if you see this, like this code, after every lines or anything, if I copy paste, I make sure that I rearrange it. I have it arranged in a better format and a readable format. And like many of you guys might be doing it because I have seen many guys doing that. In order to like isolate the code, you have a few spaces, but these white spaces I don't like. So it's something which is more a preference of somebody else. Like who is going to read your code, or who will be the your successor of actually handling the code that you have written, right? So in that case, you have to make sure that things are readable and you don't write thousands of lines of code. It's readable and much easier, right? So that's why we have child components, parent components and child components. And that is the reason, if I also just showed you this thing, data table and this data table. So what is this? This data table is a child component and this is a parent. Like if you write this in a component, this will be the parent, right? Here it is more than, like, I will like to say 100 lines, like approx. It's a guess, but it can be around 100 lines. And when you are having a big table, it will be more than that. So are you in favor of writing 100 codes, 100 lines of codes, and later on understanding like which division is getting closed where and things like that? No, you don't need that. You simply need to use this simple 4 or 5 lines of code and go ahead with it, right? And that's why child components come into the play. You can use child components, like we can call a aura component inside another aura component. You can send data from a parent to child using aura attributes, and you can even call child components method with the help of aura methods. So all these things, let's dive deeper into it. But before that, uh, Anand, should we take a 5 minutes break?
Yeah, okay. We want 15 minutes break is there.
Sorry.
We can have 15 minutes break.
Yep. So let's take a 5 to 10 minutes break and let's gather back at 11:15, and then let's start with parent-child relationships and Apex, which everyone might be interested in. Okay.
Okay. Yeah, you can share the screen.
Okay. Okay. So we is everyone back? Like just confirming, like before starting, is everyone back? Uh, so okay, if you guys don't see any of your friend in the uh, participants, then you guys can call them, right? So that way they will not miss. I will wait for another 1 minute before I start. Okay, so let's start now. If anybody is still like, if any of your friend has not yet joined, you guys can call them. If they will have any issues, I will cover them up. So we were about to talk about the parent-child relationships in Aura, right? And how things work. So what I will do for at first is, let's create another component, see how parent-child relationship work. They will be very simple component, but slowly and steadily we will build them up. Maybe not today, the full component might not be built fully today, but we will keep on building it in the next further 2 sessions. Okay, and that we will have something great, I hope. So moving forward, so this was the component that we just created. Again, developer console will load. Let's give it time to load. So whenever we want to actually open a component, we have to go to file, open Lightning resource, and then demo component one, right? And we can directly open any of the part that we have. Okay. So let's create another component. We will name it demo component 2. Again, like this time I will not implement any interface. So what basically when we select that over here, like when we are creating that component, when we will select that, it actually adds an interface, right? Force app hostable. So there are multiple interfaces over there. So talking about Aura components, let's not add any controller or anything like that. Instead, let's move. So I will create an Aura attribute. So we will have a Aura attribute as data, and type will be object, right? And so what we actually are going to pass here is the mm, is this actual item, right? We'll be passing this item and this component. So we will be storing it over here. So each and every things like this will be available over there. So what we will do is let's get a kind of a card first. We will get a grid over here instead of all these. Let's fill it all these. We don't need a table now. In here, we will actually have a grid. So you can, in the Lightning design system, you can search for grid, and it is more or less on the lines of, let's say, if you have worked on any framework, let's say, like I'm not able to recall any CSS framework, like grid frameworks or anything like that. So sorry, like it's been a lot of time I've worked on any other third-party framework. So over here, we can simply use these grids, and it will be like this. And over here, we will just copy one column, add it over here, remove this, and this dev will end after the iteration. Control Alt Shift Tab. Again, let's. So we have a grid, we had columns. Over here, we will add our component. C colon demo component underscore 2. Okay, but do you know why we has written C colon? So it's actually the namespace. So anything that we are developing, it's in the custom namespace, as you guys already know. So custom namespace is there, and we are calling a component from the custom namespace. But suppose you are actually developing something for your or a for your let's say what I was saying. You are developing something for your uh, what's that app exchange product. Sorry for that. Yeah, you are developing something for your app exchange product. In that case, you have to write the namespace that you are using for your app exchange product, right? So currently, we are just developing for our custom or like for this org. And if your org is having a namespace enabled, then you will have to use it over there. Although you are not going to make it a part of your of your app exchange product, but you will have to. So that simple, you can also do it like this, like close over there itself. And this object will have that data, right? What I will do right now is I will get a card, right? I will get a card. Add it over here. And we don't need a footer as always. We will need a lightning button, which will be edit, right? Which will be edit. And here we will just replace it with div. And this is object. This is then let's get a field input. Give me a second, guys. It will be data dot again. Data is on view, so date v dot data dot. Then we have the name, right? And the label for this will be phone name, and we'll have it copied 3 times. Then it will be company and IMEI. So here it will be company. Here it will be IMEI, right? So now let's refresh this. Let's do a load data. So if you see We have not got this input fields. I guess you won't be able to get this input fields like this. Let me just confirm for a second. We have a button, we have a div. So we have 3 input fields, but they have not rendered because they require a form. Okay, so here I used a wrong component tag, right? So this is how you should debug it. Like in case you have written a component, you are not able to get it, just debug it. Like see the hierarchy, what's set. So that way you will be able to get it. So instead of doing this, let's no, input, it will be a normal input, and so instead of input field, it will be input. And also one more thing, let's see in here. Disabled validity value variant and label inline label stack. Okay, no issues. Remote validity, check validity, set custom validity, show help message of invalid. Okay, let's type this text by default. We need that only. And currently, let's get it disabled. Where is the disable? So whatever method for any custom component you have, you will get it over here. So disabled equal to true. So specifications is something that you should be looking forward to. Okay, now let's refresh it. Earlier I used a wrong thing, so that's why it was not loaded. But now again, the data is not there. v.data.name, v.data.company. Okay, why the data is not there? Do you know? The data is not there because we have not sent the data yet. So we have to send it into data. So data equal to, so if you see the name is data, right? So it is case sensitive for sure. And we just have to pass this. And now we will have the data. We don't have IMEI because it is case sensitive. One more thing. Should we try this again? That won't work. So we just have to load it again. So IMEI is working, company name. So in this way, you can easily create multiple forms and like from one place you will change, 3 places it will get changed easily. And even the our main component is not having a very bulkified code. Otherwise, all these things will be we will have to write it over there. But that's not that bulkified. Like why to actually have that? Why to have 2 components? That I will tell you now. Let's say uh, edit view. The type will be boolean and default will be false, right? Sorry, default will be true. And here it will be v dot edit view, and then over here it again, over here again. And once we'll click it on click, we have to call a controller method, right? So we will simply call it like c dot. So whenever we are calling anything from the controller, currently we are in the demo component 2, right? So whenever we are calling it is c dot, then the change edit mode. Again, when we will change edit mode, we have to like change it to save. So in that case, we will have it like label string and default will be edit, right? And over here it will go like this, v dot. Mhm. Yep. Now let's write the what happens in the controller. Let's write that. So we are in the change edit mode. Over here we will simply component.get. It will be v dot. So we are getting from the view, right? I told that anything stored in the attributes are on the view. So that's how you can actually relate it better. So v dot edit view, right? We are getting this. Let's store it into a variable. Sorry, let view equal to, now if view else, right? So it's simply if and else over here. And so if it is true, like if it is true, then it's the added view. And if it's false, it's the, if it's true, it's basically the read only view, right? Disabled is true, it's the read only view. And if disabled is false, it's the edit view. In that case, if it is false, right? If we go into false, but we have clicked it, right? So view equals to view this way, right? And then we will also at the end of it save this like component dot set. So this is how we actually save like we get attributes, like we get variables from the attributes and we save variables from the attribute, right? And once we are over here, so if it is true now, if it is true, so we are in the disabled mode. In that case, we have to like the component should be having label as edit, right? And otherwise the component should have the label as save. And now let's refresh it. Load data. I clicked on edit, nothing happened. Mhm. Let's try refresh once more. Load data, edit, nothing happened. Okay, let's see. Let's see what happens. So change edit mode. We are in component 2. Change edit mode. That's right. On click, it should be like this. Load data, edit. Yep. So see, when we click on edit, the label changes to save and everything is editable. And when we click on save, it is saved, right? Now, I will show you one very interesting thing, which is actually the topic we were going to talk about. We were actually going to talk about it next, which is bound and unbound expressions. First, I will like to actually show you what it does, and then we will come to the theoretical part. Let's see. So currently it's being sent as a bound expression, right? And if we want to send it as a unbound expression, it is hash. If it is a bound, if it is bound, then it is exclamation mark. If it is unbound, then it's a hash, right? So currently it's an bounded expression. And let's go over here and let's go to the component 1 first, and let's copy all this and undo everything. We have the table again, right? We have it now. I guess, yes, we have it now, right? What we will do is after the table, let's have it again. I copied half of it, no issues. Or like this, we just have to get the uh, let's get the grid. I just this one. Okay. So after this, the division. Okay. Minded that it's a bounded expression right now. I will refresh it. Okay. I will load the data and I will click on edit. It must have changed. Just a minute, guys. So it's bounded expression. It's an object. That's why it's not changing. Okay. It's an object. That's why it's not changing. But let's try one more thing. Instead of data, let's do it a data too, and let's do it string, right? And the string we will get from the component one, which is like, okay, that's also one of the issue. Uh, data two, it is here also. It is string data two string, and then let's display this data. Title equal to data two. It will be like this: v dot data two, right? So it's over here. And now we will send this data to all the child components. So data to equal to, okay. So we have sent the data to, which is over here, which is displayed in the title of the demo component one inside data two, right? So of the demo component two. Now we will have another input, which is always in the edit, like just to save the time, which is always in the edit. It is v dot data two, and it's not a JSON, it's a string. So right, in this case, I will have to again reload it. What's the issue over here? Title equal to hello. Title. Okay. I don't have a data over here. Default equal to have saved it. I will refresh it. I will load the data. We have its sample title over here. I clicked on load data. We have the data. If I change it, you see it is getting changed everywhere. You see it? I change it over here. I will change it over here. I will change it. Anything. anything I write is sent to each and every one of them. So this is what we call as bounded expression. So it's not happening in this because it's an object, right? Here we will have to work it in the other way. I will show you that also. So it's an bounded expression, but what if we need that we don't want to send the we don't need it like this. Like we just need it to be sent one time, like when it's actually loaded. In that case, you can go and over here instead of exclamation mark, you can write it hash, and then it becomes an unbounded expression. Load data, and if I change it now, anything, anywhere, it is separate entity now. We don't have to worry about anything right here. Got my point? So it's an unbounded expression now. I have written it bounded, but yeah, it's unbounded. So this is the demo of bound and unbounded expression. Let's get back to the uh, slides and talk about it more. So when we are sending the data from parent to child, right? We are sending the data in two ways. We can send it in two ways. One is the bounded expression, and the other one is the unbounded expression. When it is actually the bounded expression, uh, any changes which happens in the child is actually carried on to the parent also, and in that way you can easily record the changes. Like recording the changes is other part, but like everything is in sync, and you don't have to use events and things like that. But when it is actually an unbounded expression, like you might need it. Like suppose you are having a few things, a few data, and on a click of a button, you have to send it to a one time send. So in that case, you can use unbounded expression when you just want to send the data from parent to child and don't want to record that changes in the child on parent. In that way, in that case, uh, unbounded expression is the one for your savior. You can easily use it. Do you guys have any questions on the unbounded or bounded expressions? I can clear it before we move forward. You guys can use the chats. Okay, I will repeat it. So there are two types of expression, Naveed. So basically, one is bound and one is unbounded, right? As I showed you over here, that whenever we are making any changes to this, it is not getting changed, right? The actual, this is an unbounded expression. This is all due to this part, which when we are actually sending the data to the child component, right? It is hash, and it denotes that we are sending it with the help of unbounded expression. So any changes to the data 2 of demo component 2 will not make any change on the data 2 of the parent component, right? But what happens is when you are actually sending the data, when you are actually sending the data from the component 1 to component 2, in that case, what will happen is, what will happen is you will get to see the data change. Like currently it's a hash, so it's an unbounded expression. But when you make it an exclamation mark, it converts to an bounded expression. It means that whatever changes you are doing in the child are being sent to the parent. And as all these three are just sibling child components and are getting the same data of the parent from the same attribute. In that case, whatever changes you are doing in the parent, like So what's happening is you are making changes in the component one, the child component one. They are being carried over to the component, the parent component, and all those parent component changes are then being transferred to all the sibling child components. So it's a whole process that's happening when we are using an bounded expression. So this is a bounded expression. If I change anything like one I added, it's added seamlessly across each and every child component and even to the parent. This is a bounded expression. And when it's an unbounded expression, like it's an hash over here, also I will again I will make change it as unbounded expression. Wait, let me explain it to you in a better way. So let's do it like this, right? It's an unbounded expression, it's an bounded expression, right? And over here it's data 3 and here it is data 2. And let's name it better. It's unbounded, and this one is bounded, right? So it's bounded. Just a second. We have to do it like this: bounded, unbounded. And now over here we have to send it twice. So bounded and unbounded. Sorry, unbounded is like this. So this one is unbounded, so it will be over here, and this one is bounded, so this will have exclamation mark, right? And now we have two inputs over here, bounded, unbounded. I will refresh. Now, see, this is the bounded expression. If you guys, I just zoom in, this is a bounded expression. I make any change over here, 10, 20, 30, 40. It is seamlessly transferred to all the child components and even to the parents. But when it's an unbounded expression, I do anything to the child components data, it is not being transferred to the parent component. Like let's make it 50 just to be differentiate factor. So that's like that. So I hope bounded and unbounded is clear to everyone now. Okay, good. Let's move forward then. Um, I will just remove these extra attributes from here also. And then the component one also, let's just remove it. Data two. So this was all about bounded expression, unbounded expression, and how things change. But my there is a concern like I'm having in case of a bounded expression, sorry, unbounded expression. How can we send the data back to the parent component? The call to the child in the parent component, bounded and unbounded, are the keyword part of syntax. No, 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 no. Bounded and unbounded are not the keywords or part of the syntax. That is something that I just used it. You don't have to use it. It is just the hash and the exclamation mark which matters. Nothing else matters. Okay. So exclamation mark is for bounded. Hash is for unbounded. Just making it clear. Okay. So now we need to send the data from parent to child. Sorry, from child to parent. How we can do that? And in case of an unbounded expression also, how we will send the data again from parent to child also. So these two factors are something which is actually a matter of concern. Uh, let's dig into the detail for that. But before that, why not talk about getting data from Apex, which is actually the last topic for today. So I guess somebody is unmuted. Can you just mute it? And if you need to say something, you can. So I guess everything is great. So let's talk about Apex. So I haven't written anything about it because I don't want to show it over here. I will get you back to the developer console to show you how that occurs. I will first of all close everything. I will open the demo component one, and I will also open the controller for it. And then we had an Apex. So now we have everything. No, 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 not this one. We have this, right? We have this. So how this whole things works, let's see. If you mm, if you see in the demo component one, I have a button which is load data. And when we actually click on load data, it is calling a method which is get mobile data. So if you see, it is c.get mobile data, right? And here we have the get mobile data function of the controller. And when this gets called, we have an action. So whenever we have to call a controller method, here if you see, I have just like VF pages, I have specified the controller. So like I know that you guys have already in the previous sessions you have got to learn LWC, and over there you have the facility to use methods of different controllers inside an LWC. So in there you don't have to like create a separate controller for each LWC and then make the callouts. You just have to like you have 4 or 5 classes where you are having 4 to 5 different methods. You can call them from their respective classes, but that's not the case in Aura. You have there have to be a single controller which we specify over here. Whenever we are in the controller, so model controller view. So when we are actually going from the view also, it is the same way. Like from view, we click, we get into the JavaScript controller, and from this controller we get component.get c.get mobile JSON, which is actually a method from the Apex controller, right? And in that Apex controller, you get that method where we are actually returning a JSON. So, what's all these then? Like action.set callback and queue action. So, all these is actually the way JavaScript functions. So, JavaScript in Aura, this particular part functions as an asynchronous. So, suppose you are making a call out, you don't have to be making it an instant thing. So, you get the action, you enqueue it. And this is actually the function which will run once this action is fully executed. Like get mobile JSON is fully executed, then you will be able to fire it. Like this function is fired then. So if I just add a few console.logs to make you that make that more understandable, uh, line 3 before creating action. Then we have line 5 after creating action. Then we have line 7 inside callback, inside action callback. Then we have line 12, which is actually uh, before in queuing action. Then we have line, let's increase the line number by 1, 15 after enqueuing action. And then we will also have a line over here. So everything makes sense now. 11 end of callback, action callback. Let me, I will arrange it. Like I said, I like it to be arranged every time. I don't like messy codes. So now let's click on load data. And before that, I will clear this console. Load data, get console for you again. So if you see now, before creating action, after creating action. But after these two, you have before enqueuing action and after enqueuing action. And after the action is enqueued, you get inside the callback. So it's an asynchronous function that we are writing. So once we get this callback, once we have this callback, I'll just delete all these. We don't need it now. This was just for your explanation. So once we have that callback, then this is fired. So it can even take up to a minute or two in case you are making a like, see, if you are having a long running Apex action, then it's just 10 seconds. Otherwise, it will be an Apex timeout limit. That's for sure. But what if you need to make a call out and the third party system is in that case, it can take up to 2 minutes also. And that's the same for the set callback. It will be fired when it gets a callback from Apex, and it will always get a callback. Otherwise, there will be an error. So we have this get state. So whenever this method is fired, we have a get state, and in this get state, you get success right now. You might get error in case like let me show you the error also. In order to get an error, I will do a very silly thing. I equal to 1 divided by 0. We will get a cannot divide by 0 error. I will refresh it. We don't have the data right now. I will load data and see we got an error because we cannot divide by 0. So even Aura gives you an option to handle this part also in the controller. So we have two controllers, right? We have a controller from Apex, we have a controller from JavaScript. In either of the cases, we get option to handle it. We can handle errors in our Apex controller and send those handled errors inside the JavaScript errors and handle those further, like how you need to display the data. And otherwise, if you have an error from Apex, you can simply handle it over here. So that's how things are done. Do you guys have any issue in this part, like calling the Apex controller and getting the data? I will wait for a minute for you guys to let me know any issues that you might have, or otherwise we will move forward with the last topic of this session, and the rest of the things will be covered in the upcoming sessions in the Friday and Saturday of next Friday and Saturday, basically. So if you guys have any issues, you can explain, set, or get an component. Okay, I will do it. Any other questions? Okay, I guess this is the only question we have. Okay, so set or get, what is it actually? So we have attributes, like I said, we have attributes, So whenever we are actually mentioning those attributes, we are actually getting the data from those attributes. We will be using v dot, like we have used it over here, v dot mobile phone list, right? And when we are in the controller also, and we have to set the data, like we have to set something in it. So we will use v dot mobile phone list. So anything when we are going to set, we will use it v dot, right? And we when we have to get something from the component. So this is the component, right? And in this component, we are having the controller, right? We are not having the controller in this, in the controller, in the JavaScript controller, we are not having the Apex controller. So we will be getting it from the component only. And hence it is component.get mobile JSON. And it is C dot, because we have to specifically mention that get this particular method from the component. We don't need anything from the view. So this is in order to do that. If we needed some values, like let's say we have to console.log what this value is before, right? So what we can do is console.log component.get v.mobile list. So that's that easy. So this way you can get it, this way you can set it. Easy. Any issues, Navid? Okay. So this was all about calling the JSON, like sorry, calling the Apex and getting the data. It was a very simple JSON that we were just simply returning. We can have processes, we can have things like that. Um, okay, so I guess we are a bit out of the time limit. Anand, correct me if I'm wrong. So should we start with the Q&A in case?
Yeah, what? What's
Should we start with the Q&A right now? Like I guess 12:30 is the from
okay?
9:30 to 12:30, right? So we can start with the Q&A now.
Yeah,
We will be continuing from here in the next session.
yeah, okay, fine. Do you have any questions? Please ask you. I will unmute.
Yeah.
Unmute
Now
yourself.
you are. Now everyone is feel free to unmute and ask any questions.
What is the Do anyone have any questions?
What is the main difference between the Aura components and LWC components?
So the main difference between Aura and LWC. So see, Aura is the successor, right? Aura is the successor to LWC component, and when we actually talk about the Aura components, um, sorry, or LWC is the successor to Aura components, right? When we talk about the Aura components, what happens in the background is this is something that I explained in one of the slides. Aura component is actually converted into a component definition over here. So what is component definition? Component definition is nothing but actually the LWC counterpart of it. If I show it to you over here, if you write the same code in LWC, you will get something more like this only. Like when you're actually writing an LWC, it is more like this, like uh, tables and all. So when we actually call an Aura component, what happens in the background is uh, it's the Aura component which is actually converted into a kind of an LWC counterpart, and the uh, LWC counterparts are actually uh, more better usable, and they're faster in development, they're faster in actually the runtime. Aura is not that fast as runtime. Like LWC is faster, right? And I guess there is another question like Aura or LWC. So LWC is the future, guys. See, LWC is the future. We cannot deny that Salesforce has overridden Aura with LWC. Both are on the same, like, or these are two different frameworks. We have Aura framework, we have LWC framework. LWC is something which where we can actually code on our PC, on our laptop, uh, with the help of uh, local development server and things like that. With the like a very minimum internet requirement, we can easily run local development server, and that will not be an issue. But in case of Aura, we will need internet and good internet because everything works on online on the Salesforce system in the developer console. Although we can code it in the VS Code also, but still we will need access to Salesforce to demo, like to see what's coded, right? And in that case, we have to make sure that we have internet. So LWC is the future. Aura is if you know Aura, it's an add-on. We might in future, like as you know that currently workflow and process builders are deprecated. In future, we might get a news that Aura is also deprecated. Maybe not in the next coming years. Maybe after 3-4 years, we can get that news. So, uh, okay, is it clear now? Okay, yeah. So you can get that part, get that news also that okay, Aura is also going to get uh, uh, deprecated, and you guys should start using LWC from now onwards. But you guys should know that LWC is still very new and it's kind of maturing. If you know that even quick actions were not available to LWC just two release before. So Aura is still like LWC is still maturing. Or we have many things in Aura. Like still, you cannot create a utility bar action with just LWC. You will have to encapsulate it inside an Aura because Aura is the thing that you can host on an uh, utility bar. We cannot do that same thing in LWC right now. So there are many things, there are many constraints for LWC that will get over as Salesforce is working on it right now. So it will slowly and steadily get over. So we don't have to worry on that part. That will soon get passed, and we will be easily able to start coding freely on LWC. But still, Aura is something that you should learn. You should you might get a lot of components to work on. So uh, like still even today VF page people learns, and there are if VF page is a crucial part, many things are made on VF pages right now. So you should learn Aura. You should not deny the fact that Aura is still there. There are no official confirmation from Salesforce that Aura is not going to be in future. So until and unless we don't get something official, we should be learning Aura. We should be coding on Aura. There are things which are easier on Aura. There are things which are easier on LWC. So when you know both of the frameworks, it is easy for you to decide where to go, on which framework to use. So yeah, that's it. Anything else? Any other question? No, apart from you, like there are 34 others. So in case you guys have any questions, you can let me know. I will be happy to answer it. Okay, so in case of any further questions, let's meet on next Saturday, and then we will be talking more about. Okay, we have one more. Can you help understand what are the scenarios where LWC is preferred over Aura? Okay, like one of the scenario I told that utility bar, there you can prefer Aura. We have lightning actions, quick actions, where Aura is still preferred because that is way better supported. Um, and like I will get back to you in the next session, like where LWC is preferred over Aura. Like I cannot remember many things, but I will get back to you. But still, like although you can, it's the thing that you have your hands on better. Aura and LWC both are widely compatible. Aura is compatible to two or three things more, but both are widely compatible. Can you summarize today's session in brief? Okay, sure. So we started today's session with like introduction to Aura. Uh, then we went ahead with creating Aura components. So what is Aura? Aura was introduced way back in 2014. It's more than 8 years we are having Aura. Like it was officially like available from 2015 spring. Um, we started using Aura components. Aura components started developing. It was the Lightning which was there. Lightning was way better, way faster than VF pages. Although like at that time internet was still like we guys were still with 5 mbps 10 mbps plans at that time in 2015. I still remember 10 mbps 15 mbps max 20 mbps, and in those speeds it was harder for Aura components to load because they were bulkier. All Lightning framework was still maturing, and so it was kind of slow, although Salesforce used to say that it's lightning fast, but it was not the case. um, but today when we talk about that, Salesforce has made many improvements, and Lightning is actually Lightning speed. That's uh, one of the main reason is for the internet speeds also, which are like now most of us are having 40 mbps, 50 mbps, 100 mbps plans. That is also something that plays an important crucial role. Talking about where is PowerPoint? Yep. Talking about the other things, like we started with introduction, then we discussed about the MCCV structure, like what actually the architecture is, like model, controller view. Model is the markup, then we have the controller, which is JavaScript, then we have another controller, which is the Aura controller, or maybe the Lightning data service controller, which is in the backend, and then we have the database. So I call Salesforce as a fancy database. Then we have uh, the life cycle that we were discussing right now. Like we have Aura component, which is converted into the component definition. Then we get the component bundle on the client side. HTML rendering happens with the help of VS Code, with the help of JavaScript, and then it is finally rendered. Uh, Coming to the creating Aura components, we have component, controller, helpers, style, documentation, renderer, design, and SVG. All these things we discussed in detail. Like component is the markup where everything sets, like all the attribute sets, all the like how things will work, Aura, if else, if true, render, if things like that happens on the component. We have the controller, which is the JavaScript controller, where the component events get fired and the controller methods get fired from that event. Then we have helper, which is for like having reusable methods of JavaScript. Then we have style, where we put in CSS. We have documentation, where we document the Aura component. We have renderer, where we can use custom rendering. Then we have design SVG, right? Coming to like creating Aura components, then we talked about the attributes. Like there are these are the following types, like boolean, date time, decimal, double, integer, long, string, and object and lists. We also talked about the parent-child relationship, understood how bound and unbounded expression works. So bound and unbounded, like exclamation mark and hash. This thing I explained. So there will be recording available, so you will be able to uh, know more about bound and unbounded expression in future as soon as the recording is live. Then we had a look on the Apex part, like how we get the Apex data from Apex. simply. And that's it for today's session. We will be having more detailed discussion on things like this in the next session, which is on Saturday, and then on Sunday, which is the next Sunday. Any other question? You guys can also reach out to me on my LinkedIn. Uh, I am posting my LinkedIn ID, the URL. You can message me, and I will be happy to answer any question that you might have. Uh, I will also be available in the next sessions, so you can, although we can connect over LinkedIn if needed. Okay, thank you guys.
Thank you, Swami Diwari, for your nice session on your Aura component. I want to thank you as well as the 3 degrees cloud for providing you such guys for our groups for giving a good sessions. Thanks
Not
a
an
lot.
issue, Anand. Not an issue, Anand. Like it's a Salesforce community. We all should move. Like we all should move ahead together.
Yes,
So the
I
PPT
had
to this.
many such volunteers from your 360 who has given nice sessions like from Sales and Service Cloud is given by Gaurav, then Rusi Tiwari, then followed by Ampit, and many of you guys are giving good sessions for all these days. This is 100 days of self-learning program, and most of the guys who started the career, they will be surely they will be remembering you all peoples.
No issues, Aaron. No issues. Like they guys can reach us anytime. We are here to help the community grow, and we will try our best. Like it's not just like 360-degree Cloud is doing an awesome job and helping everyone. But I would say that each and every individual is there. We as an individual also helps a lot, and even as a company, they are having larger initiatives. We as individual also do smaller initiatives like helping each and everyone to grow, give them path how to work in future. So yeah, so it's a
Okay.
community and we should help each other. That's what I
Sure,
want
sure.
to say.
Thank you. Thanks.
Okay. Thanks everyone. You guys can
Thank you.
communicate on LinkedIn, Twitter, anywhere. You guys can post your questions. Although I will be available for the next 2 sessions also. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.